Billy Dee Williams? I'm a huge fan.
Well, now you'll have to stay since none of these guys have seen you in anything since Mahogany.
Let me tell you something, and don't you ever forget it. Success is nothing without someone you love to share it with. I love Brian Piccolo. And I'd like all of you to love him too. You're one of the best. He's looking at you as one of the best. You can't back off now. You gotta stay with him.
Aces and eights.
Ooh, they sing the blues, 3 jacks.
You want my own phone off?
Pleased to meet you, Mrs. Jefferson.
Oh, call me Louise, Dilly Dee.
I want you to buy my new fried chicken, man.
Introduce you to my godfather.
And Julie's a great girl. You can call me Billy Dee.
Yes, Lando. Yes. I've just made a deal that'll keep the Empire out of here forever. I had no choice. They're right before you did. I'm sorry.
Who's got 2 thumbs and the 3 best friend? This guy! Too soon?
We must never again leave this city.
That was never a condition of our agreement. I was giving hand to this bounty hunter.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly. No. Good. You can fortify the garrison people.
This deal is getting worse all the time. You got a lot of nerve.
You got a lot of
You
nerve.
got a lot of
You
nerve.
got a lot of nerve.
Why you slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler?
Another thing?
You need all the help you can get. She's the fastest ship in the fleet.
All right, okay. No, I know what she needs. I'll take good care of her. She won't get a scratch.
It's toothless.
He's the man that destroyed the second Death Star, the coolest man in the galaxy. Make him feel the love, Billy Dee Williams.
Goodness gracious. Welcome. Thank you so much. I wish I had some cheese and crackers. A few beers. Had a real good time. Boy, just can't get you off the stage.
I
Jesus.
was only talking to
God.
Tom.
I almost went to the bar for a drink.
And you didn't bring me back anything.
You know, Derek, once you give him a mic and a stage, and you can't get him off. I mean, I've seen him in improvisational situations, and I feel sorry for the actors on the stage. Anyway,
I won't do it to you.
well, he and I have, he's like my son.
close, yeah.
Close to it, yeah. So we come around, doing a little act together.
And I'm honored to be by your side.
Well, thank you so much.
Aww. Just so you know, some of them have hangovers, so they're not like really with it. But it's okay. So, Billy, this is our little Star Wars retrospective on this Q&A. So we have some questions that we want to ask you.
So
by the way,
many people, goodness.
yeah.
I'm really honored. Really fantastic. Thank you so much for showing up. Goodbye.
I'll have Fritz answer the questions for you. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Relax, we're not really. All right, so Billy, you were introduced into the Star Wars saga in The Empire Strikes Back. Would you mind telling our friendly audience here a little bit about how you and Kirsch met and how you got the role?
Well, at that time I was gaining quite a bit of success in movies, and with Brian's song, which I was nominated for an Emmy. And Mahogany and a couple of other films at the time, so I was, as they say in Hollywood, hot. And they were looking for, they were putting this production together, the Empire Strikes Back, and they came to me, they asked me to play Lando Calrissian. So unlike most situations where actors have to go to somebody's office and audition and go through all of those machinations, I didn't have to do that. I had the director come to my house personally, and we sat and talked about a lot of different things, including Eastern philosophy, which I was very much into at that time, Buddhism, and Krishna was very much into Eastern philosophy. And so we really established this real camaraderie and rapport, and that's pretty much how it all came together. So,
And you had
very
never,
lucky.
you had never worked with Kirsch before. That was your first time.
No, Krishna, to me, is one of the most extraordinary people. God bless his soul. One of the most extraordinary people I've ever known in my life and worked with in my life. I mean, he was one of the great masters of the film genre. So I was very, very, very fortunate to be able to have a relationship with him. He did major stuff. People, I don't know if you know much about Kirsch's life and his career as a filmmaker, but he was a pioneer. So to have him as an actor, to have a person like that in your life is really a fantastic experience.
And I bet, if I'm not wrong, round of applause, I bet you all agree that Kirsch directed the best Star Wars movie.
Well, yeah, the general consensus has always been that Empire was the best of all of the three movies, and I think I agree with that, especially since I was introduced to it.
All right, so Billy, you get given the role, and you get the script, and you've got to do some character development. You've got to make some choices, and I think you told me some of that came from a very distinct piece of costuming. Is that right?
Yeah, well, when I saw that cape, I thought that was that really just did it for me. It was a key to developing my idea of what the character should be. Because I always liked that sort of bigger than life, kind of swashbuckling, kind of roguish kind of individual. Was charming and lovely and handsome and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, baby.
When I used to be handsome,
You still are.
Young and lovely, but that cape really did it for me. I was thinking about people like Errol Flynn
yourself now getting out of the shower and throwing your robe on as a cape and just...
Well, I'm afraid I've not gotten that far yet.
All right, so you've
No,
developed...
that's something you would do.
Totally. I was running around last night. I just don't have a hangover. So you've got the role, and now you're going to be part of George Lucas's universe. And so I want to touch on George just a bit. I know that you were a fan of THX 1138. So once you got the role, and you're working with George and Kirsch, what are your, tell us a little bit about their differences and how George works versus Kirsch works.
Well, I always think of George as a concept person. He comes up with great, fantastic ideas. He's brilliant with that. And I think he recognizes that I think he has more freedom when he hires somebody else to execute his ideas. And he usually tries to look for obviously the best people to execute his ideas. Sometimes, most of the time, I think probably it works. I don't know if it works all the time. But he is basically, I think, a concept person. And really, and I never realized it, but I think he's really a money-oriented person too. I mean, he's really interested in profit.
Well, you know what Kirsch said, Billy? This is
He's a real business person.
Kirsch, when George asked him to do Empire, I don't know if all the fans know this, Kirsch turned it down 4 times. He didn't want to do it. And George brought him into an office and showed him the concept for Skywalker Ranch and said, if you do this movie, this will all be a reality. And Kirsch went, well, I guess I better do it, and he did it. But that's a little inside story for all the Star Wars fans out there. So you've got the role. Oh, wait. You were talking about George. You want to touch a little bit on Kirsch's directing style?
Well, Kirsch is, basically, I think he's a real good actor's director. And I think that was really quite apparent because I think when you think about as opposed to the Empire Strikes Back, as opposed to, let's say, even the newer Star Wars movies, where there was an awful lot of CGI and a lot of technology involved, I think it's, in my opinion, and, even though it made billions of dollars, I think something it suffered because he hired a bunch of really good actors, but sometimes when you get sort of involved with all of this technical stuff, it overshadows the directors. Now, Empire Strikes Back, I think it was more actors oriented, or people oriented. What's the term?
You got it. Yeah. Good clap, guys. If he says something you like, let him know.
The whole human exchange. I mean, even with the Wookiee and all of those creatures, I mean, they all had a sense of humanity about them. So,
And they were tangible. They were physical. They were real. They were props, and your eye knows the difference.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So now you've got the role. You're working with George and Kirsch. Your first day out in London, out on these massive sets. The Millennium Falcon was actually, full scale. Did you get it? Millennium Falcon is a full
I
scale.
just wanted to upstage him for a minute.
The Millennium Falcon is a full scale prop. And you're there. What was it like to walk in on those sets and is your mic broke?
I just wanted to upstage you again. Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't care. So you walk in the room and there's the Millennium Falcon and these other massive sets, Cloud City. What was it like, and how did that add to your character development to actually have those tangible pieces?
Well, I guess, when you walk into a situation like, we shot all of this at EMI, I believe, EMI, yeah, Elstree, in London. And both times when I did both movies, I spent about 4 to 5 months away from home doing these movies. But like that, you see all of this incredible stuff that these people put together. One of the things that you begin to think about, at least I could begin to think about, is the same thing when I did the Batman movie and I saw Gotham City. You know, you see the craftsmanship of what these people that we don't, they're sort of unsung heroes in a sense. I mean, people who really do all this incredible work that nobody hears anything about, you know, these craftspeople, these artisans. And I was just absolutely amazed at what I saw. I saw bits of, you know, we worked on about, I think about 3 studios, big, huge studios. And where you had the full version of the Millennium Falcon, and then you had bits and parts of the Millennium Falcon for particular shots that they wanted to do. So it was quite impressive. And then also, the thing I always found myself visiting the young people who were behind the scenes, who were involved with all of the technology, you know, the computers and everything, working out all of these logistics. So I found myself really interested in those people. I mean, I'm not crazy about actors, you know, I don't like to be around actors too much. I'd rather be around other people who are much more interesting.
Also, it's probably good not to piss the people behind the scenes off, since they do make you look good, right? So, just, has anyone ever been to a movie studio? Yeah, so just a few. So Billy, just to give them a concept, using this room as a guide, would the Millennium Falcon have been in a room bigger than this, the same size as this? Give them an idea of how big those studios were.
Yeah, about like this, or bigger.
Or bigger. Can you imagine that, guys? Yeah, no, yeah. They don't care.
But we'd always have our little tea breaks at about 4 o'clock. The English tea breaks are really very funny. They give you 2 pieces of bread with something in between, a little piece of cheese. You say, what is this? What? It's just going to sustain you for like about another 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. But anyway, it's really interesting. The English are very interesting people. The Brits. My grandmother was a Brit. That's cool. Nellie Button. Annette Nellie Button, who died a Britisher, never became an American citizen in their 80s. She's an interesting woman.
Are there any other shooting differences aside from these tea breaks between like the US and the UK? Like any other nuances, or do they do things differently in the UK than here in the US? Or is Hollywood filmmaking?
Yeah, I think pretty much so. It's just a different sensibility. I don't know how to really describe it. But instead of Americans,
they talk with an accent.
They do talk with an accent. That's the other thing, you know, the accent thing is like something that, you know, unless you're there, you don't realize. But I've worked with Brits. I started working with the Brits back in 1960 when I did a play on Broadway with Laurence Olivier's wife, with John Chloride and Angela Lansbury. Tasting Honey. It was a wonderful play by Sheila Delane, who was a British playwright. But the accent is, you know, you don't think about it. You know, just in the United States, we go to the movies, especially years ago, you just hear a standard English accent. But it's all regional. You know, you go to the south or the north, or you go east or wherever. In London, it's all different. You know, and it's a great deal of time. Well, you just always, you think you're going to understand what's being said, but you don't always understand what's being said. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating to travel. It's fascinating to get out and see the world and meet people and experience different cultures, you know, and the way they do things. I've been very, 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 very fortunate in that way to have that in my life.
What's the best place you've been internationally?
Well, we were up in Mexico City, and I'm a big fan of the Mexican bureaus. Diego Rivera, Orozco, Sigueros, and that was one of the most fantastic trips I've ever had, especially when I saw the works of Sigueros. It was unbelievable. In fact, when I think about it, I get emotional about it now. I wept, literally wept, looking at his work. It was so monumental. But that was certainly on the top of my list as far as the trips are concerned.
Have you guys ever been to Mexico and saw what he's talking about? That exhibit you guys have? You know that one that's in the room?
I've seen a little bit.
Oh, Roscoe, excellent. Scott has, really? You go. Did you bring any bananas with you? All right, Billy, so you go from the best Star Wars film ever, The Empire Strikes Back, to Return of the Jedi. We're getting that up. But for the people who are not Star Wars fans in the audience, they shot Return of the Jedi under the name Blue Harvest. And Billy's going to share with you why, and then he's going to tell you that it didn't work.
Well, this is very simple. I mean, they always tried to keep everything on the wraps, big secret. And even the actors didn't get full scripts, because they didn't want to divulge any details about what was being done or shot. But interestingly enough, Star Wars fans know everything. It's amazing to me. We were called a Blue Harvest company, but everybody knew about it, even to the point where people were actually literally flying around in airplanes, checking out what was going on. We were shooting out here in Arizona, in the desert. But I found that really quite interesting and quite funny.
And now you go on to Arizona, and they have new, interesting sets. Not quite as simple as the Millennium Falcon. So you want to share a little bit?
Yeah, Return of the Jedi, it was very interesting. It really kind of was an insight into George Lucas's mind. Because I don't know if you remember, a lot of the characters all had a sort of a sexual connotation. There was the lady with the 6 breasts walking around on the set, and I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. And there were even Jabba the Hutt with an appendage. That character. What was the name of that character?
I don't know. What's the name of the appendage that hangs down above his salacious?
Salacious, yes. Yeah. And then, of course, there was the Sarlacc pit, which was.
They all know.
I said, George, wow, man. Interesting mindset. But it was like innuendos, it was like subtle. It was subtle, but not, it was, I don't know what subtle, but it was interesting. It was very interesting.
So now we flash forward.
It's one of those kind of situations where, for me, that's how you present art. Whether you're painting it or whether you're putting it on screen, is what pulls people in, what makes people pay attention. I always use the analogy, you paint your broad strokes, which is obvious to the eye, and then you paint your nuances, your subtleties, and which pulls the spectator into the moment. And I think that's a very clever way of making people pay attention. So I even try to do that in my paintings. I call my work like abstract reality. What I mean by that is real as things are, they are as abstract, which gives me a lot of levels to play on. So I'm giving you what is obvious to the eye, but at the same time there are things going on that you sit and you wonder what it is, and you sort of bring your own experience into it.
we flash forward, and Star Wars is not dead by any means, right, guys? And part of that is due to Billy keeping Lando alive. And what are your choices in your career for doing that? As we saw Star Wars Detours, and he's in the new Lego cartoon now, keeping Lando alive now. Tell us about that.
Well, I guess it's a bit of an ego trip, I suppose. Most characters I've done, I've made them indelible characters. I've succeeded in doing that, and I always feel like nobody else can do it the way I do it. And the reason why I feel that way is because I don't approach things in the obvious way. I don't usually go with what's sort of stereotypes, cliche ideas. I believe that if you're an individual, there's something, as each individual is unique. They have something unique to present and offer. And I've always lived my life in a very eclectic way since I was a child. That's how I was raised by my parents and my sister and I. And my experiences have always been really eclectic experiences. So I see myself as a universal entity in this life. I see myself as a world person. I don't like the idea of people imposing on me what they think I should be. So that's how And I think when you're a creative person, you should never allow anybody to impose what they think you should be. So I always try to present my characters in every situation I do, even through my paintings, in my own unique fashion. Win or lose, it's the way I see it, the way I do it. And so far, I've lost a few, but I've won quite a few too. So. But I think it's really important in my mind to, I'm a kind of a person that takes this idea, takes that idea, and I put it into a third point of view. I'm a person who lives the third point of view. And because that third point of view moves your ideas, your thoughts, the way you approach situations in forward further into the universe. It's time. I'm sick. I get bored when people talk about race, for instance. It drives me crazy. I don't live my life that way. I don't want to live my life that way. I belong to life.
Star Wars has found a new home at the Disney company. How do you feel about that? Is it a good home?
Oh yeah, I think I don't see it's perfect. I mean, there's DreamWorks and there are places that do all this stuff. I mean, places like that. Certainly Disney has had the reputation for doing fantasy stuff, and it's a perfect place for it. And certainly, I think a person like J.J. Abrams is a perfect person to oversee this kind of experience.
And do the fans agree with that? There's a lot of rumors out there right now about the original cast coming back, and I know it's a burning question. I'm going to preface this next part of the question with the answer. Mark, Carrie, Harrison, and Billy, none of them have signed contracts. So it's all rumors, just so you know. However, we all want them to come back, right? I don't think it would be Star Wars without them.
My idea actually is to come back with a daughter who's a Jedi. Beautiful daughter who's a Jedi.
So if J.J. Abrams is watching any of the videos that are being shot, That'll be 10%. But here's where you guys help us out. We want you to Facebook, blog, Twitter, that you want to see Lando in the next movie so that JJ gets a hold of it, okay? Because you're going to make it happen. And we have this new thing on Twitter now, hashtag Bring Back Lando. So if you guys are on Twitter, hashtag Bring Back Lando. And if you want to follow Billy on Twitter, it's at RealBDW. You can get out your phones and put that in right now. At RealBDW. But Bring Back Lando. We want to do that. Twitter it, Facebook it. Find where JJ lives. Send him a letter. His office, not his home, please. But I think that would be great. So we've got one more fun question for Steph. That kind of sums up Star Wars. But we always get asked this one question, and Billy and I have two answers, and we're each going to give one. But I'm gonna preface it before you guys all come up and ask it. Why was Lando wearing Han's clothes at the end of The Empire Strikes Back? So which answer do you want to tell? Because we've got two great ones. Okay, I'll give mine. It's actually that Lando owned the Millennium Falcon originally, and Han stole his clothes. Or
they were lovers.
Are there any fans out there who have a Star Wars question? Now is the time to do it. You don't put your hand in the air. You're going to come and see this lady in the black outfit. Make a little line. We're only going to have time for about maybe 5 or 6 questions. If you have one, get in line. Now, just so you guys know, normally Billy doesn't talk about Star Wars that much. Did we do a good job with the questions? Did you learn something? Okay, good. And I'm actually going to save these for a future show, Billy. All right, now remember, when we ask a question, we state our name and then the question. Please, sir, go ahead.
My name is Christopher. Dee Williams. What is it like to be the coolest cat in Star Wars?
I don't think about things like that. I'm a silly person, basically. I'm a walking absurdity. Maybe that's the secret.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
It's easier to be a walking absurdity.
Is that the secret to being cool?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try it.
Especially at my age. You get away with it. Say anything, get away with it. I loved when Clint Eastwood, at the Republican convention. I thought it was masterful. That's what everybody said. He's at that point in his life, he don't care. What the hell does he care? What do you want to say? It's okay. You just get patted on the head. Put in the room. Lock the door. Don't let him out anymore. I'm sorry.
My name's Zach, and huge fan of the series, huge fan of Lando. You do an amazing job running the role, must admit. And I'm pretty sure this is a question that's been going on in a lot of minds of Star Wars fans. And it's been juggled around in the universe a lot, like the recent discussions and such. But what are you anticipating for Star Wars Episode 7? Is there anything you would want to see? Some sort of storyline you'd want to follow through?
Are you not paying attention? He said he wants a daughter. Sit down! We love you.
Hey, I like your hat.
My name is Jerry, and I know you've done some work with Robot Chicken, and I absolutely love all your roles that you played in that. And the one particular scene that really stuck out in my mind, I went to the grocery store, and someone goes, "Hey, you're Lando!" And they all kind of jump on you for being the villain of the Star Wars movies for betraying Han. So, did that ever actually happen to you? Like, you're just out and about, and people, like, just jump on you for, like, betraying Han and everyone?
God.
That's a good question.
Years. Never stopped. I used to pick up my daughter from school when she was little. In the schoolyard, the kids would run up and say, "You betrayed her, sir." On the airplane and the stewardess, "You betrayed Han Solo." I once had a little boy who was about 10 years old. He had a gun in his hand. I would have been dead.
That was the best Q&A question because it was a little 10-year-old kid. He was right in front, and they didn't ask a question. He didn't state his name. He just went, "You betrayed Han Solo. You betrayed Han Solo." And he stood there and waited for Billy to say something.
Scared the heck out of me.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Pruitt, and I think it was season 3 or season 4. You were in an episode of Lost, where you
Played myself playing a killer.
Yes. And did you not meet J.J. Abrams then, or was he not there for that episode, or?
I'm sorry.
Did you meet J.J. Abrams then? Because I know he helped create Star Wars or Lost. So did you get a chance to meet him then, or have you ever met J.J. Abrams?
No, I didn't do it.
Okay, I was just curious because I didn't know if maybe you would, met him before. I know he was like one of the biggest creators of Lost, but I was just curious.
Well, interestingly enough, that the Lost, many years ago, back in 1970, I think 1970, 71, with Lloyd Bridges, he and I did a television movie when they were doing television movies at the time, called Lost Flight, and it was about people who got marooned on an island from an airplane crash. So I'm sure that they must have taken that idea. Look it up. You'll see. You can look it up. You'll find it. Lost Flight. Lloyd Bridges. Boy, he was something. Boy, was he in good shape. I was a lot younger than him, and I had to keep up with him.
All right. So my name is Thomas, and outside of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, what is your favorite role? What is the favorite time you played Lando Calrissian outside those two movies?
My favorite role?
Every time you played Lando Calrissian.
Oh, meeting Princess Leia. What do we have here? The other one was standing up to Darth Vader for about 3 seconds, and I realized what I was doing. What's that line?
That was
this deal is getting worse all the time. But some people don't realize that. They keep thinking I betrayed him. I was trying to figure out what to do. I mean, Lando was trying to figure out what to do. He was running an empire. He was like running Las Vegas. He was like Steve Williams. All of a sudden, there's my friends and his friends, and there's right behind them, there's Darth Vader. And I'm saying, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. And I did lose everything. People don't think about that.
I am curious. I want to geek out for a minute. I don't usually do this, but I want to see if any other Star Wars fan has ever picked up on this. When he confronts Darth Vader and then he says, "You have a problem, or whatever it is," and he's like, "No." Doesn't Lando act like he knows that Darth Vader does the chokehold thing? How would he know that? Did you watch the first Star Wars movie? Do you guys get it? Or are you the only one that thinks that? Really? Yes.
Hi, I'm Christy. I wanted to say you read my mind earlier. I was going to ask you to say that. So I think I just wanted to say.
What do we have here?
I just wanted to say that was something I always really admired about the way that you did Lando. such charisma and everything was so effortless for you, as I feel like a lot of other actors really have to act like you do.
Io penso che tu sei meraviglioso. Bello.
Hi, I'm Javi. I have one question for you. Everyone knows you call Han Han. Is that just like your own, like,
I never
accent
figured it
for
out.
it?
I never figured it's Han. But I don't know why I keep resorting to Han.
When you say his name,
You make me feel stupid.
Security, take him out of the room and beat him.
Hey, I'm Michael. I love your work for Full 45. Full 45 and enjoy it.
Don't let the smooth taste. It works every time.
Hello, I'm Dave. First off on set, forgive me for betraying me. But what was the original deal that you were trying to set up and keep getting worse and worse?
With Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to prevent the complete demise of all of these people with my friend and his friends. So I had to set something up. I did. Nobody died.
I don't know, you did freeze him though. I don't think he was too happy about that.
I was dealing with Darth Vader.
Ah, he's a big wuss.
I'm John, and I was just curious how much fun you had selling fried chicken for the man.
I really enjoyed doing that. That was fun. That was good. Yeah. I think I could have done a lot more with the character. That's always my feeling. But I enjoyed that. That movie was a very funny movie.
There's no one else kneeling down there? Oh, go, get in line, guy. Where's that Colt 45 guy? Do you have any on you now? You do? Do you have it? You're apparently drinking it. Do you have any on you? Oh, because we were all going to go party in your room. Gas stations in Atlanta sell Colt 45. Cool.
Well, I don't represent Colt 45 anymore, so I don't care.
Well, you broke his heart, he's going to cry.
My name's Brian, and you've done guest stars on Robot Chicken and Modern Family, both with Lando and yourself. Is there any show on TV you would like to guest star on that you have not already?
Well, Big Bang is my favorite show. The dialogue is some of the most brilliant dialogue I've ever witnessed. And those actors, that ensemble cast is just amazing to me. It's scary to me. That whole situation scares me. Sitcoms, they're not easy to do. They're very hard to do. You gotta be really quick. And I'm not so quick a lot of the time. Yeah, that would be certainly one of them. But there was something else I was going to say.
Hashtag Lando on Big Bang.
Well, I'm very happy that people are talking about nerds. You know, I did that nerd show with Bobby Carradine. I went on there. They asked me to come on to be a judge, and I really enjoyed that. But I really I'm glad to see nerd shows, and I'm sick and tired of all this violence and craziness. Nice to talk about smart people, intelligent people for a change. You know.
Hashtag Lando on Big Bang. Is that what you said? Hashtag Lando on Big Bang. We're all going to start doing it when we leave this room because there's no reception in here.
If I didn't have my back is gone out, I mean, if I was a little bit younger, a show that I find that people who do Dancing with the Stars. That is absolutely, totally amazing. For those people that do it. If it came.
They could shoot you from the feet up and put roller skates on you.
But I find those people absolutely, those actors who are capable of doing that stuff, I mean, it's just amazing to me. But that would be certainly a show I would love to do.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Billy, my name's Michael. Since to piggyback off of the betraying Han, I wanted to ask where you kind of weighed in on the clerks debate on blowing up the second Death Star and destroying all the construction workers who were working on the second Death Star. Has anyone confronted you and blamed you?
No, you're the first, jerk. Sit down. They were getting paid by the Empire. They knew what they were doing. He was basically saying when you blew up the second Death Star, not only did you blow up like the Emperor and all them, but all the workers.
What are you, some kind of wise guy?
You know what? I'm really sorry. We're going to end it with that because that was just brilliant. If you have more questions, Billy is going to the Walk of Fame right now. That's where you can get autographs signed. If you didn't get a question answered, come on over and have a chat with us. Give it up for the coolest man in the galaxy.
Thank you. Bless you. Thank you.